Hello, everyone, and welcome to FanDummies. I'm Greg.
And I'm Aaron.
Today, we're going to talk about the movie Prospect. There will be spoilers. If you are planning on watching this movie, you might want to hit pause on this podcast. Don't close it. Just pause. Go watch the movie and then come back and hit play at this point because we're about to get in it.
You'll be back in less than 2 hours.
True. This movie was pretty short, I think, if I remember right. Well, this might sound like an odd choice for our podcast, so let's talk about why we chose Prospect and why we chose to talk about it on the podcast, because those are two separate things. So we watch all sorts of stuff, but we don't talk about everything on the podcast because then we'd have a podcast episode every day.
Oh my gosh, so much. Oh. I cannot wait for next week's episode. I'm just saying that right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. First off, this is sci-fi and, sci-fi, fantasy, and superheroes. But most importantly, it really connects with Star Wars, which we've been covering a lot lately. I always watch sci-fi, and I don't always watch the big budget stuff. I watch, the B-movie sci-fi. And I've subjected Aaron to dozens of B-movie sci-fi.
Oh, many. Greg's favorite thing is to scroll through like Amazon Prime Video or Netflix and look for those sci-fi movies that nobody knows about.
I'm like, 1.5 star. It can't be that bad. Play.
It's fun though sometimes because it's just so different how movies turn out when you have a huge budget versus like what you can create with hardly any money.
Yeah, we watched that movie Stasis where they're supposed to be on an alien planet, but you like see the highway in the background with the cars driving by. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you've been watching The Mandalorian, then you'll know that Pedro Pascal plays the Mandalorian.
Will we know? I mean,
maybe.
Will we?
It says starring Pedro Pascal. So you just have to...
You have to just guess.
Yeah, you just take it.
Yeah, okay.
Don't ask questions, Greg.
I won't.
You might be saying to yourself, what else has Pedro Pascal been in?
What has Pedro Pascal been in other than this?
Well, he plays as one of the main characters in this movie Prospect.
I mean, that's why we watched it. You also might want to see a movie where you actually see Pascal's face. Pedro Pascal's face.
Maybe.
More than just once.
Yeah.
Like you have in The Mandalorian.
Wait. The funny part is he wears a helmet during this whole movie.
Well, he does, but he has a humongous glass screen on it. Now, remember in The Mandalorian, we've only seen his face, I think once or twice.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've seen him in Game of Thrones, but I don't know how many people watch Game of Thrones that like Star Wars. Maybe they do. He was Oberyn Martell, and he gets his head squished and his eyes popped out. It wasn't good. He's also going to be in
spoiler.
Oh yeah. Well, there's going to be spoiler.
If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, spoiler.
We don't just spoil the movie we're talking about. We spoil everything you could ever possibly watch. The other cool thing about Pedro Pascal is that he's going to be in Wonder Woman 1984. So you really should be a Pedro fan. That's what we're trying to tell you. That's why we're watching this movie. You have to learn some Pedro Pascal and what he's been in, and you got to watch some of this stuff. So go watch Game of Thrones. Let's watch 1984 when it comes out.
The cool part about Wonder Woman 1984 is he's going to be the big bad.
Yeah. Well, he was kind of the big bad in this too.
Yeah. But in The Mandalorian, he's the big good.
He's the big good. BG.
The other Star Wars connection in this movie is Sophie Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
And Sophie Thatcher, she was just announced to be joining the Star Wars universe.
I know, all the stars aligned on this movie.
Uh-huh.
When they made this thing, they couldn't have known how their path was going to intersect with Star Wars.
You think Pedro had any say in this?
I think Probably. I mean, he probably recommended her.
Yeah, like they needed a younger actor.
Yeah.
I think she did a really good job.
Yeah, we'll talk about her more later, but she was incredible.
Mm-hmm. We don't know if she's going to be in a spinoff or if she's going to be in The Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah, it was just announced that she's joining the Star Wars universe, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Thatcher plays one of the main characters in Prospect, which we're going to get to in just a little bit here.
Since you need something to watch in between episodes of The Mandalorian, we thought this Prospect might be right up your alley. It was right up our alley, and it's on Netflix right now for free. So, I mean, I guess it's not free because you pay for Netflix, but it's on Netflix that you already pay for. So go give it a, clickaroo. If you are new to FanDummies, if this is your first time gazing upon us, listening to our sweet song in your ear holes, we talk about superheroes, sci-fi and fantasy, TV and movies every single week. Me and Aaron just talking about the stuff.
Aaron and I.
It's just like correcting me on the podcast live.
Not many times. Just that one time, like since the whole podcast started.
You're witnessing our life. I mean, this is real stuff here. You can listen to us on any podcast app or watch us on YouTube. If you would like to help support FanDummies, which we would really appreciate, you get both our audio and our video ad-free. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/FanDummies. We will put the link in the show notes below. If you don't want to sign up to our Patreon, just hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave us a comment. Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts. All that stuff really helps support the show. It doesn't cost you a dime. Not even a nickel. Why do people say a dime? Not even a penny. It doesn't cost you a penny. There's nothing less than a penny. A shekel. Doesn't even cost you a shekel. All right, Aaron. People have waited long enough. They heard all about the connection of Prospect, the Star Wars universe, but they have no idea what this movie's about. Tell everyone what this movie is about, please.
A teenage girl and her father travel to a remote alien moon.
That was a moon?
Huh.
Ah.
I also like how it's travel. If you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
You mean it should be traveled?
No, it should be crash landed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're aiming to strike it rich. They've secured a contract to harvest a large deposit of the elusive gems hidden in the depth of the moon's toxic forest.
I like that they don't even name them. It's not like unobtainium. They're just like the elusive gems.
It's pretty gross how they get those gems out, though. But there are others roaming the wilderness, and the job quickly devolves into a fight to survive. Forced to contend not only with the Force's other ruthless inhabitants, but with her own father's greed-addled judgment, the girl finds she must carve her own path to escape.
The film creator's goal was to capture a piece of what makes 2001, Blade Runner, and the original Star Wars so awesome. Texture. They were going for like tactile, real, like robust, custom props, costumes, and they didn't want to do any digital effects. Western films, particularly Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns, have also been a strong influence in development of this film's narrative structure and pacing. Ultimately, we see this film as the blending of genres in a way we haven't quite seen before. That's what they say. Yeah. That's not what I say. Ultimately, we see this blending of genres in a way I've seen 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah. It sounds just like The Mandalorian.
It sounds like Firefly, Serenity, a million other things. I just want to point that out, that this is the official description of the movie. Of course, that we are going to change it to be true.
Prospect is written and directed by Zeke Earl and Chris Caldwell. He has also directed and written Redemption Man, Taste, and The Pines.
I haven't seen it.
And those are all shorts. In The Pines, Greg, you would probably like that one. It's a sci-fi one, if you haven't seen it already.
I mean, I might have seen it. It depends. I definitely seen their short version of this. I watched that.
Yeah.
Like years ago.
I probably did too. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Prospect started as a short. I found that pretty interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be under 15 minutes so they could submit it to film festivals. They raised money with a Kickstarter campaign back in 2013 just to make that short. And they ended up raising $21,298 on Kickstarter. And in 2014, the short premiered at South by Southwest Film Festival.
It only cost $21,000 to make that short film?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it sounded like they already had like the camera equipment that was for the costumes and I guess the filming location and the actors. And they wanted to use the money for like color grading and sounds and stuff like that. So it sounds like they put the money into that stuff. They already had the film equipment.
I didn't notice after it was over, did it say shot on iPhone?
I was looking it up and they shot it on one of those red cameras.
Yeah.
They had a listing on it. I think I saw it on their Facebook page that they had it for sale. And it was like a $12,000 camera that they shot it on. Or they resold it for $12,000. So I don't know how much it's worth. That was just one of them. It said that they used to shoot. They were talking about like all these different lenses that they acquired over the last couple of years. So they're like really into the filmmaking aspects. It's not like they just shot it on an iPhone.
Yeah, no, I get it. As this podcast is shot on an iPhone.
We're going to put a link to the short that you can watch. It's on Vimeo in the description. And it's pretty different. It's worth a watch, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it like 20 minutes ago and I had seen it before.
Did you watch it in full? I just watched it too.
Yeah, I have seen it before.
Yeah.
And it's on YouTube right now on the Dust channel.
Oh. And the short stars Callie Harlow. And she's only been in 2 movies. And they were both made by these creators. Callie plays the C character. And then there's Tony Dupe, who you might have seen in Safety Not Guaranteed or Wild. He's been in a lot of stuff, but he plays C's dad. So they're the 2 main characters in the short.
Wow. They said it took 4 years to create this full movie, the one we watched on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it first came out in 2018. I can't remember when I watched this. I probably watched it in 2018, but there were several times when we watched it yesterday that I was like, yeah, I remember this. But a lot of it I didn't.
You don't know what goes on behind the scenes as like they're making these big budget movies, but for them to start in 2013 and then have a finished movie by 2018, but now it's 2020 and it's finally coming to Netflix. That's a long time to like have and it's like one movie. It's not like a TV series or anything. You know, it's just like one, not even 2-hour movie that they shot, and it took that long for it to, you know, come to where it's at today.
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that they made money on this.
Oh, I hope. Yeah.
I mean, if they spent 21 grand on it, I mean, just having it on Netflix, they have to be getting more than 21 grand for it.
The 21 grand, I think, was just to create the short, like to get it started.
Oh, I see.
But that was what they raised out of Kickstarter.
I see. So the full length movie, we don't know what that cost.
Yeah. I'm sure that it costs way more than that, though.
Yeah, because it has real actors in it.
It looked like from the short, even they had new costumes and they didn't have the spaceship and stuff. So they had to create all that stuff.
Well, let's get into the actors because that's the reason we watched this movie. And there aren't that many of them. I mean, even though this is a full feature length movie and it's not the Kickstarter short, it still was pretty low budget. We talked a little bit about the actors in the very beginning of the show, but we didn't say who they played or what they did. So let's get into it. We'll start with Sophie Thatcher, who plays C, and it's like C-E-E, letter C, letter E, and E.
Like Cat Aaron?
Yeah, not like S-E-E. Not like C as like I see you, but C. And you might have seen her in When the Street Lights Go On, The Tomorrow Man, or Chicago Med. Now, I have seen The Tomorrow Man. Pretty sure. But, you know, Chicago Med, medical drama. Don't watch that. When the Street Lights Go On, I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a musical. So
no, it's like exact opposite of a musical. It's like a
crime
movie. crime drama, someone gets killed type.
That would be my second guess.
Or show, I don't even know. Yeah, whatever it is.
And she was cast to be in either Mandalorian season 3 or another Star Wars spin-off show, which is what makes this movie so fun for us, because she's the main actress in this movie. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, Pedro Pascal, and we'll get to him in a minute. She has more on-screen time than anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
By far. Her acting was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how old she is. Like, maybe, I mean, all these people are older than I think they are. When you see them, like, they're like, oh, you're 14. You know, in real life, she's like, I'm 37. You know, you never know. Like,
she could be in her early 20s, but I think she's really young.
She looked 14 or 15 in this. Like, she was really young.
The bio I could find online said that she's been acting since she was like really young. I think it was like 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or she acted for like a few years around this movie. So, I mean, she's got to be maybe, I don't know. She looks like a teenager. I don't know.
In this movie, she looks very young. I have no idea how old she is. We could IMDb it, but you know.
Well, it wasn't on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
I tried. Maybe someone could tell us in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's not high on my list of things I need to know.
But she's young and she does a good job.
Yeah. Most of the time, these younger actors are either really good or they're really, really bad. Mm-hmm. And she was good. So who else is in this?
There's also Jay Duplass, and he plays Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And he is C's dad. And you might have seen him in Transparent or Search Party.
You know that you might have seen him as my favorite part of the podcast. Because I'm always like, no. What makes us pick these movies out of IMDb?
Well, usually we try to pick movies or shows that we think our audience might like. But a lot of times these actors are not in anything that fits our genre. That's why we talk about like Chicago Med or ER or CSI and shows like that or movies. And
you might have seen him as Cop 37.
But there's probably people out there who have seen these shows or movies. I don't know.
No, it's true.
So I figured it's better to include something than nothing. Most of the time, people are known.
That's what I do whenever I fill these out, is I look to see what their big shows are.
Yeah.
Or big movies.
Yeah.
And I put those in.
But he's also known to be an executive producer and writer for many shows and movies. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
More than his acting. There's also Pedro Pascal.
Who?
Pedro Pascal. He plays Ezra. And you might have seen him in The Mandalorian as the Mandalorian.
Nope. I mean, I've seen a Mandalorian in The Mandalorian, but I've never seen him.
You know, Din Djarin?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Just in case you didn't know.
I'm convinced that 99% of the time he is not in that Mandalorian suit.
I always wonder that. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
No, because we know for sure he voices it after the fact because we've seen him in the sound room voicing the Mandalorian.
I mean, you can't talk through the helmet. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that, Greg.
Yeah, no. We're going to see him one day, and I'm going to ask him.
Now he's a huge star. Now that he's the Mandalorian, that just like shot him right up the list of probably never to meet this person.
Here's what I'm going to do.
He's like Chris Hemsworth now. He might be higher.
He's not higher. Here's what I'm going to do. I've decided how I'm going to do it. You heard it here on this podcast first. I'm going to buy an on-screen used Mandalorian helmet. I'm going to take it to a con that he's at, and I'm going to see if it fits him. If the helmet don't fit, he ain't it.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Put on the helmet, Pedro. Put it on.
That'd be so cool if we did see him at a con.
He'll be at a con. He has no idea what has happened to him. Because of the whole pandemic, it's all delayed.
Oh.
So he's thinking life is normal. And you know, it's just another show. But he's wrong.
Oh.
The fandom, as soon as we're allowed out of our houses, is going to be crazy.
Yeah. And especially once the Wonder Woman movie comes out, he's going to be even huger. He's going to, huger, I don't know if that's the word. He's going to be even bigger. He's going to be extra large.
He's going to be extra large and in charge.
He's not going to be a pumpkin spice latte anymore.
No. Are you ready to get into the review of Prospect?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Why don't you start? Let's start with the bad. We always like to start with the salt. We got to put salt on the dish. Give it some spice.
That way you'll forget our bad, salty comments after you hear our good comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like any low-budget sci-fi movie, it was shot in a nondescript forest.
Come on.
That's the first thing that came out of my
This is
mouth.
my whole life. This is my entire life. No matter what I ask Erin to watch, it's either nondescript forest or nondescript desert. And like 30 seconds in, the movie hasn't even started yet. And she's like, nondescript forest.
This is the winner.
Yeah, that's what planet is that? Vancouver planet?
Prospect was shot in Washington's Hoh rainforest.
So nondescript rainforest.
Yeah. And it was actually really pretty.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't look like Vancouver. I couldn't even place where they filmed it, but it was really pretty.
I'm surprised that they let them film that because they were like traipsing all over all sorts of plants and stuff.
Yeah.
But
they got permission. It was on the Kickstarter page. That's where I found it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's fine. Then, you know, those plants will just grow back after they get stepped on.
I'm sure there's like paths that they made them stay on and stuff. I think they ended up donating money to the park after they used it.
That's good.
And I know it's a low budget sci-fi film, so that's, you know, why it's filmed in a nondescript forest. But it just seems like we get a lot of nondescript forest. And I think to myself, does it really need to be a sci-fi movie? Like, this easily could have been a fantasy or an action-adventure movie without the sci-fi elements.
I don't know. I mean, it's a spaceship movie.
And they could have left out the spaceship, and they could have just been on the planet where they could breathe without space helmets.
I mean, you're describing a completely different movie.
I know. And then they could have mined for the gross things in the ground that they stuck their hand in.
And then what, like found a magic portal? And then
it could have been like fantasy. It could have been like little creatures. It looks like a fairy type forest or something like that.
So just so I understand what you're saying, why didn't they make a different movie than this?
Genre wise, yes.
I mean, the only thing that's the same is that they would be digging for things. How they got there, what was there, everything else would be different.
They could have went through like some magic portal to get there.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
They could have rode their unicorns there. They could have went on a quest.
I see.
Through the forest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they could have done that stuff, I guess.
They didn't have this big budget for CGI. Why did they make it sci-fi? Because sci-fi to me needs a budget.
So you're saying they could have had unicorns and portals and magic with less money?
Well, they have horses and they put a little horn on it.
Oh. You could have seen the tape.
They could probably get some kind of portal made for less money. They could have got there by traveling with magic beans. And they could snap their finger and all of a sudden they're just there. Flu powder.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say about this movie?
And the story wasn't original by any means. But
well, I mean, you just said that they should have made a different story, a different movie in a different genre. It's a different movie then. It's a completely different movie.
I mean, the story wasn't very original.
I will say that watching, like, on the Discovery Channel, whatever, Gold Rush was more fun than this movie. Like, they were really prospecting.
That's funny.
All right, is it my turn for some salt?
Yeah. Now that you threw salt on my salt, get out your pepper.
So
you're in the next stage. Put some garlic on it as well.
You were the nice salt. You were partially salty. I definitely think this was low budget. I don't know how low budget, but it was low budget. The spaceship interiors were bad. Humans are going to other planets, but they still use like CRT screens and toggle switches and stuff.
Didn't the spaceship, the inside kind of remind you of Aliens?
Yeah. But just take one look of the interior of a SpaceX ship, and it looks 1,000 times more futuristic.
Yeah. I kept thinking of Star Trek Discovery, and we watched The Ready Room, the video with Will Wheaton talking about the show, and they showed like how they make the little ship that they had on Discovery, Michael Burnham and Book, and it was just like this blank desk, and then it was all like this technology that they built in with CGI, and I thought that was really cool. And then you get movies or shows like this with like little
like
screens,
toggle switches, and like smacking the side of the box,
which makes no sense at all.
The creators,
even the Mandalorian, his Razor Crest is more higher tech than this.
Well, the creators claim that this was on purpose. They wanted the film to have texture.
Yeah.
And to me, it just ended up looking like it was aged, but not in a good way. Like you can't recreate 2001, A Space Odyssey. That's what the vibe they were trying to get. I think they got it. But what they got was a film that looked like it was created in 1967.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the vibe that they want, they certainly got that. But getting that movie in 2020 and then seeing it was made just 2 years ago, it doesn't fit, right? Like the reason 2001: A Space Odyssey is what it is because it was made so long ago. Like what they did with cinematography and story and sound and all that stuff back then was groundbreaking. When you do it today, it's just boring.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just I'm sorry. It just is what it is.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like if they left it out, changed the fantasy.
Oh yeah, magic.
It would be awesome.
Unicorns. The ending also wasn't great. I mean, is C gonna stay with Ezra? Do they have any money? Will the transport take them? I mean, do you have to pay to be on that thing? Or do they just grab onto any random spaceship that flies up there? I mean, what they should have done is as they were running to the ship to take off, C should have noticed that they had gems or whatever, and she should have scooped some up and like put them in her pockets. And then when they were blasting off, and Ezra was passed out, she could have been like looking at her loot.
No, yeah.
Like, I mean, my dad got shot. Had to chop this dude's arm off. But look at all this loot. You know what I'm saying?
It's her booty.
It's her booty, right? Like, at least she's going to be all right. The way it sits now, you have no idea if she even made it. Is she all right? She doesn't have a home? What's she going to live in that stolen pod? It just makes no sense to me.
Is she going to make Ezra her dad?
Or something else going to happen?
No, she's too young and he's too old.
No, I'm just saying like, this dude, he's not a daddy material. Like he murdered her dad. Well,
it's like the Wild West though.
He was planning on murdering her dad.
Yeah.
His partner actually pulled the trigger.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Wild West, though. You have to fight to survive. I mean, it's either you're going to get killed or you kill the person that's going to kill you.
I guess so, but, you get the sense that Ezra's a good dude. Like, they don't leave you with a for sure sense that it's a happy ending. And maybe that's what they want. They're trying to win film festivals and stuff, right? Where, it needs to be all artsy and weird instead of normal. All right, let's get to the good. The salt is over. The dish is properly salted.
I like the acting. I thought Pedro and Sophie did a great job. I also liked the cinematography. Even though there wasn't much technology, it made them focus more on the scenery and the costumes and I don't know, like the color grade of it. I thought it was just really beautiful. Like I said before, I did like the forest, even though it was a forest.
That is certainly true. The cinematography was excellent.
Almost all the scenes, they had like these little like sparkly dust things flying around. It was kind of neat. Even though the story wasn't very original, I still liked it. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was suspenseful at times. Like it had that like slow suspense where there's not much dialogue and you just have to follow along. And it's not like anything like super scary is going to happen. It's more like you just don't know what's going to happen and that's what makes it suspenseful. I don't know, because it's like a new world, new. You don't know what's on the planet with them, and I think that's what makes it suspenseful as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I agree with there.
I did end up liking C and Ezra as well by the end of the movie, even though Ezra starts out as the antagonist.
Yeah, real jerky jerk.
And I don't know if I liked him just because he is Pedro, probably. That puts a pretty huge factor in it. Because I don't think if I knew who he was, I would probably be like, oh, that guy. Like, why is C trusting him and helping him out? And why are they working together? Why doesn't she just pop his helmet and let him suffocate?
I thought that 1,000 times. Like, why doesn't she just shoot him right in the face?
Yeah.
Although the story was not original, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The ending, we talked about that. But the movie itself, the pacing, like you said, the suspense, the never knowing like what's going to happen. It was good. And I was glued to the screen. There were deep, deep emotions for both C and Ezra. C didn't have the greatest life. I mean, she was pretty messed up, honestly. I mean, her dad was a drug addict. Her mom is dead. They live in their little spaceship. They have no home, right? They obviously have no money. Their spaceship breaks down. Like imagine you're living in your car with your dad. He's a drug addict and your station wagon breaks down in a city you've never been to. And then your dad gets shot. Like that's a messed up.
And you have no money.
And you have no money. That's a messed up thing. That's essentially what happened, except it happened in space.
See, it doesn't have to happen in space.
No. You're saying that the movie I just described would have been better?
That's why you need to go watch the short, because it seems like the dad is not a drug addict. He seems pretty normal in the short.
Yeah.
Maybe in the short, they didn't think his character was too edgy. He was just too pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
So they had to give him that extra grittiness to him.
Yeah. I will say that when the dad was shot, like I felt real despair at like a young girl being alone on a planet with like no laws.
Yeah.
And like no means of escape. Like your brain automatically assumes like the worst thing. And you just are like, oh, this movie better not go there. Like you're just like, oh man, like don't make me have to turn this thing off halfway through.
Another reason to watch the short is because C is more tough in the short, and what happens to her dad is different. I thought that was really cool.
In the short,
don't give it away because I want people just to go experience it themselves.
In the short, C is ruthless. I mean, they really toned her down in the actual movie. And the actress, I think, that played her in the movie was better than the short, but it's still good.
Yeah, still good.
Still good. I like the idea of the space ferry, right? It's basically a big ship that goes from star to star where people, park their ships on it.
Not like a flying ferry?
It's like a space ferry.
Not like a fantasy ferry that they could have used?
No.
Okay. Like a ferry that they could have come in and help them?
No.
Okay.
No. See, like this concept of the space ferry is not new. Like I've read many sci-fi books where this kind of space ferry thing exists. So like imagine you have a spaceship and it can only fly around in the solar system, but you want to go to a different star. You park it in the space ferry. The space ferry jumps to the next star and you pull out just like you're crossing a lake, right? Where you pull your car onto the ferry and it crosses the lake.
It sounds like fantasy, though.
Not a ferry like with wings. Not like Tinkerbell.
Could be, though.
But I do like the fact that they pulled this idea and used it, because I don't think I've ever seen it used in a movie. I don't know what to call it. But, it's like a ship that, like the little ships can't travel between stars. So they need a big ship to take them there. And then the little ships go down to the planets. And then, they drop and pick them up. All right, let's give this thing a rating. You go first, Aaron. Out of 5 stars.
3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
High?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of in the middle.
Okay. 2.5 is in the middle of 5, right?
It's a little higher. I think it's worth watching because of Pedro and Sophie.
I agree.
And it's sci-fi, so it's worth watching.
Yeah. It's great.
It's
on Netflix.
I think if it had more CGI, I think it would have been more up my alley. I don't really care for sci-fi movies when there's not a lot of sci-fi. There's not a lot of technology, because that's what I watch sci-fi for.
Yeah, exactly.
Just my own opinion.
It can be old, busted, reused technology like in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But Star Wars still has droids and light speed and all sorts of cool stuff.
like
lightsabers, lasers, blasters, everything.
Like stuff we don't have currently. Yeah. What did you rate it?
Well, I rated it 3 out of 5. So a little bit better than halfway, but not by a lot. And I really only enjoyed it because I'm interested in the actors. I really wanted to see Pedro and Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, to me, forces them to act amazing because there's nothing else.
Yeah.
It's really just those two in a spacesuit trudging through the jungle. If they don't act well, then the movie sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They were like the space ferry for this movie. They hoisted the movie up on the shoulders and they carried it home.
Uh-huh.
They really did a nice job. Anything else you want to say about this movie before we wrap it up? Put a bow on this sucker.
It makes me love The Mandalorian even more. And I can't wait till Friday. And tomorrow is Mando Mondays, which this podcast will be out by then. But hopefully there's some new Mando Monday collectibles.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this episode of FanDummies. Please subscribe, rate, and write us a review if you haven't already. As always, links to our Patreon, our Facebook group, and our merch store will be in the show notes below. You just, go like this, and all the stuff will be there. You just flip, flick, scroll, whatever, with your finger. It's real easy. Don't do it while you're driving. Wait till you get to work, or you get to the grocery store, or wherever it is you're going. Then check out the show notes. Click on the link, sign up to our Patreon, and if we're not worth $5, that's okay. Go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Go to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe on the podcast. Do all the stuff. You guys know, do the stuff. We really appreciate, in all honesty and seriousness, we really appreciate every single like and comment. And we just try hard to get that one extra like.
Helps us grow YouTube. It helps us grow the podcast.
Yeah.
The more engagement we have with our listeners and our viewers. It's fun. Talking about fun, our next week's episode, I'm looking forward to it.
This one snuck up on us. Snuck up on me. Our next episode is going to be on Lovecraft Country. Yes. Which I didn't even really know it existed. And I would see stuff about it and I was like, oh, that just looks like another drama show. And I even kept seeing people talk about it online and I'm just like, that's just a drama show. Why would we watch that? It's on HBO. And then we had someone reach out to us on YouTube and they were like, oh, are you going to review Lovecraft Country? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, Greg, are we going to review that? And so I looked up the trailer. And the trailer just really blew me away. Yeah. So we ended up watching one. Completely and then we watched hooked. 2 in one night. Yeah. Completely hooked. Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of some shows we've watched, especially like Hellstrom. Yeah. Yeah. Even each episode is so different in itself that I could never imagine that it is like this. No. I don't know. No, it's very unique and we're not done with it yet. So let's reserve judgment until we're done with it. Yeah. We could be on the podcast next week and be like, ugh. Yeah, it was good up until episode 5. Until the person had the demon baby. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen in fantasy /horror. Yeah, it's true. But that's your homework. for this week. I'm going to just tell you everything that you got to watch this week. Got one episode of The Mandalorian. Got one episode of Star Trek Discovery. You have Lovecraft Country. If you haven't watched Prospect, you got to watch Prospect. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Then you probably should watch The Ready Room, Will Wheaton's thing,
Ooh, yeah.
once you watch Discovery, because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I like it. There's
Yeah.
usually some pretty good guests on there.
Yeah.
Or they show you like a little behind the scenes of the making of the show, which I really enjoy that.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the Clone Wars, the
Ooh.
cartoon, make sure you're watching that. We're going to be doing some episodes on that. If you have a request, send us in the comments, because I mean, the last one was a good idea.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
So, keep us on our tippy toes.
There's so many movies and shows out there that unless it's like super mainstream, like Star Wars, Star Trek, I don't know, what else, whatever else we watch, sometimes it's just not on our radar. Like you just don't know about it.
Well, the mainstream ones, Lovecraft is pretty mainstream, but
it's based on a novel too, which I thought is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm all about reading the book and then watching the movie and going, ugh, the book was so much better.
Yeah, the thing is right now there's a ton of like mainstream stuff to consume.
Yeah.
So we will kind of move off the beaten path once we run out of content.
Yeah.
Which it's coming up. We'll be doing a Discovery episode. We'll obviously be doing a Mandalorian episode when it's done.
I love Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
My favorite days of the week.
1984 is coming out, in December?
Well, it's supposed to come out in December, but I wouldn't count on that.
We'll see if that comes out. So yeah, we got a lot of great shows coming up. I'm super excited. I feel like
the Lego Star Wars movie that's going to be on Disney Plus. It comes out November 17th.
Oh yeah. So
I don't know if we'll do a show on it, but we're going to do a show on it.
Yeah, we're definitely doing a show. I'm
just so excited. Baby Yoda is in it, and there's a scene with Kylo Ren without a shirt, and he's like, put a shirt on or something like that. If you've listened to our Rise of Skywalker episode, you'll hear us talk about Kylo Ren without a shirt.
Anyway, we really appreciate you listening to the show. It's always fun talking to you on YouTube or in Facebook or wherever it is that you communicate with us. One more thing, we have a YouTube only show coming out where we unbox yet another thing we got from Shop Disney, Galaxy's Edge stuff. So we've been trying to buy the rest of the stuff we couldn't buy the first time. Aaron got something too, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we bought something at Target, and I call it a little companion for Baby Yoda, but it's not in the Mandalorian. It's in the Star Wars universe though.
Yeah.
You'll have to wait and watch to find out what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, make sure you go there and hit subscribe so you can see these YouTube only unboxings. I mean, it's only a video. I mean, you can't hear us rustling papers on the podcast. So, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.